In the waning months of 2024, the global defense community was jolted by a series of grainy, unstable videos that began to circulate with viral intensity, originating from Chinese social media platforms like Weibo and Douyin before rapidly migrating to Western forums such as X and Reddit. These clips, seemingly captured by ordinary citizens on their phones, depicted a startling and unfamiliar aircraft moving through the skies over a densely populated urban landscape somewhere in China. The airframe was immediately striking for its radical design: a tailless, blended wing body with a pronounced diamond or cranked kite shape, a configuration that bore an uncanny resemblance to the speculative conceptual renderings of sixth-generation air dominance platforms, particularly those associated with the United States Next Generation Air Dominance (NGAD) program. The fuselage appeared flattened for stealth, with aggressively canted twin vertical stabilizers that hinted at advanced aerodynamic and low observable characteristics. In some of the clearer but still low-resolution footage, a detail that sent analysts into a frenzy was the apparent presence of 3 engine exhausts, a highly unconventional configuration for a tactical fighter. In the vacuum of official information, the internet-born consensus quickly christened the mysterious aircraft the J-36, an unofficial designation that implied it was China's answer to future American air power and a monumental leap forward for its aerospace industry. This sudden and dramatic appearance, however, was immediately shrouded in profound skepticism and raised far more questions than it answered, primarily due to the glaring absence of any official acknowledgement from the Chinese government, the People's Liberation Army Air Force (PLAAF), or state-controlled media outlets like Xinhua and the Global Times. In the highly structured and meticulously managed world of advanced military development, a program of this magnitude would not simply materialize out of thin air. The development of a next-generation fighter is a colossal undertaking that spans decades, consumes billions of dollars, and leaves a discernible trail of evidence, including government budget allocations, publicized contracts with state-owned enterprises like the Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group (CAIG) or Shenyang Aircraft Corporation (SAC), officially released patents, visible construction of new testing facilities, and a gradual, controlled unveiling process. The J-20, for instance, was seen in ground tests and taxiing trials long before its first flight, and its existence was eventually acknowledged and woven into state narratives. The so-called J-36, in stark contrast, burst onto the scene with no precedent, no documentation, and no official context, making its debut not on a secure, remote military test range but in full view of a civilian population. The operational context shown in the videos only amplified these doubts, revealing significant disadvantages and operational absurdities for a genuine top-secret prototype test. The aircraft was consistently filmed flying at remarkably low altitudes, with its landing gear extended for prolonged periods, suggesting slow-speed flight. One particularly alarming sequence showed it passing disconcertingly close to residential and commercial buildings, a flight profile that is not only catastrophically unsafe for an experimental airframe but also strategically indefensible. Testing a classified platform, whose primary attributes are stealth and high performance, in a slow, low, and loud configuration over a city is the antithesis of sound operational security. Such an environment is a liability, offering no valuable data on high-speed maneuverability, supercruise capability, or sensor performance, while simultaneously exposing the prototype to an uncontrolled multitude of cameras, potential electronic intelligence gathering from foreign entities, and the immense risk of a public relations and human disaster in the event of a malfunction. This highly theatrical and risky behavior strongly suggests that the purpose of the flight was not engineering validation but deliberate, calculated public exposure. This has led to a torrent of analysis from Western defense experts, who have overwhelmingly cautioned against accepting the footage at face value, pointing to a range of deeply rooted disadvantages in China's military-industrial complex that make such a sudden leap highly improbable. The most significant and persistent Achilles heel of China's aerospace sector remains advanced jet engine technology. For years, China has struggled to domestically produce high-performance turbofan engines that can match the power, reliability, and lifespan of their Western counterparts. Its premier stealth fighter, the J-20, still operates with a mix of Russian-made and domestically produced WS-10 engines, which are considered underpowered and are a generation behind American engines like the Pratt & Whitney F-119. The development of the WS-15 engine, intended to finally unlock the J-20's full potential, has been plagued by decades of delays and reliability issues. The notion that China could have secretly perfected not just one, but a new family of engines capable of powering a three-engine, sixth-generation platform, without any prior indication, strains credulity to its breaking point. This engine deficit is a fundamental disadvantage that no amount of airframe innovation can fully compensate for, as it directly impacts an aircraft's thrust-to-weight ratio, supercruise ability, and overall kinematic performance. Furthermore, the very concept of a sixth-generation fighter is less about the airframe and more about the revolutionary sensor fusion, networking, artificial intelligence, and loyal wingman drone control capabilities that define it as a system of systems. These are areas where the United States and its allies maintain a formidable, decades-long lead, built on real-world combat experience and continuous investment in data links and integrated network architecture. The supposed J-36 footage shows none of this. It shows a physical object flying, but offers no proof of the advanced digital backbone that would make it a true competitor to NGAD. The three-engine configuration itself is a puzzle that points away from a nimble air superiority fighter and more towards a larger, less agile platform like a regional bomber or a high-speed reconnaissance and strike drone, perhaps a successor to the WZ-8 hypersonic drone. Adding fuel to this fire, a supposedly leaked abstract from a paper presented at a Chinese aerospace university was found to model the new design's performance against, of all things, a heavily armed F-4E Phantom II. The reported conclusion that the new design demonstrated an inferior thrust-to-weight ratio and agility compared to the Vietnam-era fighter was a damning piece of evidence, suggesting the airframe might be optimized for straight-line speed or payload at the severe expense of maneuverability, which directly contradicts the role of an air dominance fighter. This entire episode is increasingly viewed through the lens of a sophisticated and multi-layered Chinese propaganda campaign. For the domestic audience, the J-36 serves as a powerful symbol of national rejuvenation and technological prowess, a visual feast designed to stoke nationalism and project an image of the Chinese Communist Party's successful leadership, especially when timed around significant national anniversaries or political events. It acts as a powerful distraction from pressing domestic problems like a slowing economy, a property crisis, and high youth unemployment. For the international audience, the objectives are different. It is a form of psychological warfare, intended to create an illusion of rapid military advancement that can intimidate regional rivals like Taiwan, Japan, and India. It also serves as strategic misdirection, forcing Western intelligence agencies and defense planners to expend valuable resources and time trying to analyze, model, and develop countermeasures for a threat that may be exaggerated or entirely fabricated. By releasing ambiguous, low-quality footage, Beijing creates uncertainty and anxiety, compelling its adversaries to plan for a worst-case scenario, thereby taxing their defense budgets and strategic focus. The fact that the videos emerged shortly after Beijing announced even stricter regulations against the unauthorized sharing of military information is deeply ironic and telling. It suggests a controlled, state-sanctioned leak, where the narrative is carefully managed from the start. The online reaction has become a microcosm of this information war. On Chinese platforms, commentators and state-affiliated influencers celebrate the divine bird as a world-beating achievement, a testament to China's inevitable rise. In the West, the cynicism is palpable. Defense forums are filled with derisive labels like the PowerPoint jet, implying it exists more as a conceptual rendering than a functional prototype, or the parade fighter, designed only for show. The term paper tiger, a phrase originally used by Mao Zedong to dismiss the United States as an outwardly threatening but ultimately powerless entity, has been ironically repurposed to describe the J-36, an intimidating facade lacking real substance. This starkly contrasts with the development paths of Western aircraft. While programs like NGAD are highly classified, their existence is officially confirmed, their funding is debated in public congressional records, and the prime contractors are known. There is an institutional and industrial reality underpinning them. For the J-36, there is only a void filled with speculation, internet rumors, and what appears to be a calculated disinformation strategy. Ultimately, the so-called J-36 is likely not a harbinger of a new era in air combat, but rather a complex amalgam of a possible sub-scale technology demonstrator for aerodynamic research, a prototype for an unmanned strike system, or most cynically, a masterfully executed propaganda stunt. It represents not a true shift in the balance of air power, but a reflection of China's strategy to wage war in the information space, where perception can be wielded as a weapon just as potent as any physical hardware.